All right, here we go. My name's Jeff K, and you're listening to episode 501 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast. All right, 500. I thought that was a success. I thought that was a successful episode. One of the best, I think. It was unusual, which probably made it, more interesting. And it was the calls were great. I appreciate everybody who called in. It was logistically difficult or challenging, I guess, because I had all these sound files. I had 20 sound files. Just separate MP3 files in a folder in Dropbox. And then I had to record, the episode and react to each one of them, And the way I did it is I listened to all of them. I listened to all of them one time through, so I had a general idea. And then when I was recording the episode, and I listened to 3 at a time. Well, first of all, I had to put them in an order that made sense to me. They had to be in an order that where it flowed, So I listened to all of them, and I put them in an order that I wanted to present them in the episode. And then I started recording the episode, and then I'd put it on pause. I'd listen to 3 of them. The next 3 in the queue. And jot down some notes, and then had some of it memory too, but I jotted down some notes, and that's how I reacted to them. And I think it turned out great. I mean, Zipp did a fantastic job editing that thing, because I was going. I'd never recorded one that long before, and it was starting to fall apart at the end. I was like, there were like these big pauses and stuff where I was like getting, discombobulated. But he tightened it all up. Sounds great. Sounds fantastic. I think it was a home run. So thanks for everybody who called in. Thanks for everybody who listened. And thanks to everybody who will listen. I do appreciate it. In this one, as promised, I had a conversation with Zipp. I just finished it a little bit ago. And it was long. It went longer than I thought it was going to. So I'm going to split it in 2. And today I'm going to share part 1 of my conversation. It's definitely not an interview. I mean, Zipp. I know Zipp. I don't need to interview him, But conversation with Zipp about a million different things, And I might add, I successfully navigated the whole Zoom thing. We're recording a call and all this stuff. Because I don't know shit about shit. It's been said many times by me. I don't know shit about it. Anyway, it worked, I think. I haven't listened to it. Hopefully it recorded. I hope Zipp doesn't text me later and says, this file that you put in the folder, there's nothing on it. Hope that doesn't happen, but anyway. So anyway, with no further, what's the phrase? No further delays, I guess. This is my part 1 of my conversation with Zipp.
Hello, world.
So I got Zipp on the line. How you doing, Zipp?
Doing good.
Right. Was that hard? I'm sorry to drop all those sound files on you.
Well, it's funny you bring up the sound files, because I can't remember who it was. I think it was Steve in Texas.
Yeah.
Said, hold on, I've actually got notes. Do I have notes? Thought I had notes. No, I don't. Anyway, it was Steve in I believe it was Steve in Texas said it sounded like I was on 3 espressos or something.
Yeah, and an Adderall.
Which is fair. That's not an unfair assessment. But I think he'll be happy because I'm a little under the weather, so I'm a little subdued right now. so I'm going to be slowed down a little bit. Uh, it's funny on the same topic of those call-in notes or those call-in segments. I think it was Stephanie from work.
Mm-hmm.
She had mentioned, one of the episodes I had done, and I'll be honest, I've recorded a lot of audio podcast content over the years, so it all kind of blends together. But she was like, "Oh, it was good, but he talked about killing too much," and I didn't remember what it was, and so I was like, because I when I put them into the episode, when you say like, "Here's the call," I pause it and then I answered it, then I listened to it, then I go back to you. And I was like, I don't know what the hell I was talking about. It just apparently I did a whole episode about killing or something, and then it was the raccoons, and I was like, that was that was totally fair. Yes, I did do an entire thing about massacring that raccoon family.
And then you cut the tail off and hung it over the door as a
Yeah,
warning to other
I
raccoons.
I don't know. I don't know if the science like really validates that, or if that was just me being petty and or psychotic. Um, but
I
but
think you
no.
got, I think you got your point across to the raccoon community.
Well, I think I ended up losing. Well, and what was funny was the raccoons eventually stopped, but then I had a fox, and I couldn't kill that damn fox to
Oh
save
yeah,
my life.
they're foxy.
They were. That's where I guess that's where the term comes from.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I was telling you before we had started, I had to rehome all of those because I moved quite a few states over into an apartment, and I was like, I don't think that they're going to let me bring a dozen chickens and half a dozen ducks with me to this apartment. And I found another farm essentially, and gave it to them. And my only stipulation was they weren't allowed to eat them. Uh,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't even like met them beforehand and saw that they did indeed have like a lot of chickens and ducks already. So I was like, unless this is like a low key bird meat operation, I think they'll be pretty happy here. So
That's good. I hope they're doing well.
yeah, I haven't talked to that. That was many years ago. Actually, I've been in Washington State now, coming on 4 years, which
Are
is
you
crazy.
serious? Are you
I
serious?
know, right? I I spent the first 2 years in Tacoma, Washington, um, which was which we ended up in Tacoma because we decided we wanted to move to Washington State because we just needed to get out of Texas and didn't know anybody in Washington. We might as well have just thrown a dart onto a map. And, you think of Washington, you think Seattle. So we
Hmm.
were like, well, let's look at Seattle. And then we saw the prices to live in Seattle, and we were like, well, that's not happening. Well, what's the next best? What's the next best thing? And it's Tacoma. Um, and then I ended up moving. I'm out in the Cascade Mountains now, in the center of the state, and I think we're going to stay here for a pretty long time. So
Sounds beautiful.
it is.
Yeah.
I live in a weird. So the town I live in is kind of like at the edge of the motto for the town is like it's the footsteps of the Cascades or something like that. And so if you go 15 minutes north, you're in the mountain. You're in just the no shit mountains. And if you go 15 the other way, it looks like Oregon Trail, Lewis and Clark, prairie land. So we're kind of right in the center. But no, it's beautiful out here, and the weather in Tacoma, well, the winter weather in Tacoma is not super cold. It has something to do with being on the Puget Sound.
Hmm.
So I grew up in East Texas, so I never really experienced much winter. But now I live out here, and boy, that was a bit of a culture shock. It's the first time I ever had to deal with snow.
Oh yeah.
and
It's fun. It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
I'm not a huge fan.
No, it
It
sucks.
looks every so often it'll be like a heavy snow at night and like the moon's out, and it does look really pretty. And then you have to wake up and drive in it, and then
Yeah,
it suddenly,
shovel.
yeah, it suddenly it's not as pretty as it was when you're not driving in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I hate the snow,
it's
but
the worst. It
well, and
sucks.
I had, and then thankfully, and the bigger change is like in Texas when we have ice, there is no infrastructure to account for it.
Yep.
So it's like Mad Max trying to drive on ice down there. Whereas here, they like salt the roads and it's all prepared, so it's really not that bad. But I had one like a work related situation. I had to drive through the actual mountain pass to get back to the other side of Seattle, and it was like an active snowstorm, and I had to like put chains on the car and do all that jazz, and that was objectively horrifying.
Oh yeah.
It was a terrifying experience. So,
Yep. I've been in those kind of situations, and it's horrible. You get home and your shoulders are all tense, and
oh my, yeah, right. And then I realized I'd been driving well because especially in the mountain pass that I'm in, once you hit the area that you have like lighting and space to put the chains on, you've got a big stretch. Hold on, I got to silence my phone. I'm pulling a Jeff K. You hit this big stretch where you can't turn around because it's like a mountain pass
Hmm.
and it's pitch dark. And all I kept thinking was if I lose control of the car and just go off the road, because it was also like two or three in the morning that I had to do this. It's like I'm gonna just die out here. Like
Find you in the spring.
they're gonna fight. Yeah, they're gonna fight.
Be
like
frozen in a screaming. Your face will just be screaming
it
for
looked like
months.
Jack Nicholson in The Shining. In
Exactly.
and so that I'm much more prepared now, but they were like, make sure you have like winter stuff in your car, and I think I had like a blanket, as if that was going to help at all when it's six
Yeah.
degrees out in a blizzard. But yeah, I was thinking we could, if I've got some baseball stuff to talk about, I
Hmm.
know for sure, and we could always talk about some work stuff because you actually called me at work, and I had just had, and it was funny because it's so second nature to me, but I had just mentioned it casually, and you seemed kind of terrified by it. So we'll wrap around to that. Let's talk about baseball first because
Sure.
it's spring training, and you and I have very similar, I think, outlook on baseball. In that you follow the Reds, I follow the Astros,
Mm.
and I love watching the games and listening to them. But I couldn't tell you what's going on outside of the Astros, and I can barely tell you what's going on outside of the Astros, or like what's going on within the Astros as far as the players. They're all just I don't even know their names half the time.
Yep.
But
Well, I took a long time off from baseball. I mean, I was a fanatic for when I was a kid into my 20s and probably into my 30s, maybe. And then when I started having, we had our kids and everything here, and I just kind of like lapsed from it for like maybe like 20 years. And when I came back, it was a completely different game. And
did you miss the steroid era? Was
I
that
did,
the
I,
yeah?
yeah, I did. I did. I wasn't engaged during that period. I mean, I knew what was going on just from living in the world, but I wasn't really an active baseball follower at that point. But when I came back, it was completely different, and I had a hard time. I was like, "What the hell is going on? All these like hand gestures and stuff, all this
Well,
crap."
I came of age during the like my earliest baseball memories are the McGuire and Sammy Sosa
Yeah.
race.
Oh yeah,
So I just grew up with a very different perspective on baseball players being these giant
superheroes.
behemoths. Yeah. I can remember we had when I was a kid, the Astros had Ken Caminiti,
Hmm.
who was another famous I think well they were all on steroids, but he was another one that was like obviously on steroids. And he would. I can't remember if I saw this at a live game because we used to go. Because back then too, the ticket was like $6.
Oh
So
yeah.
we went to a lot of games growing up. And I remember we saw Ken Caminiti break a bat over his knee,
Wow.
and it's just like
Can you imagine?
the physics of that because they make it look easy.
Yeah.
But just
I,
imagine
I,
breaking an MLB quality
I'd,
pine
ne-
bat over
I'd,
your knee.
I wouldn't
So
break
yeah,
it. It wouldn't break, and I'd never walk again.
yeah, you would break your femur.
That's right.
Uh, but like what I do like in the last couple of years is the new rule changes. I can't remember if you were skeptical of the rule changes, but
Always
I think
skeptical.
it's always skeptical. But
Hmm.
I think it's done a lot to really bring back some small ball and make the games more engaging. Because home runs are fun to watch, but when it just becomes a home run thing, either home run or strike out,
Yep.
it gets pretty old pretty quick.
No,
Well, what was
I'm skeptical of every change that they make because I'm a kind of a purist, but I agree. It did make the game better. The games are faster, and they were dragging out to be 4 hours long. That's too much.
yeah?
These guys would just step out of the batter's box and scratch their balls, and
I
adjust their
can't
batting gloves, and
I
it's just
can't remember
terrible.
who. There was one player, I can't remember his name, but his nickname was the human rain delay
Oh yeah,
because he took so long. I could tell that the rules had made a difference because I would read, I still do, but I would read a book during games, like during commercial breaks and stuff. And when they changed the rules, I could tell that
weren't getting
things
as many
got
chapters.
faster.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I couldn't read as much. Like I was like, oh, like this is actually taking my full attention now because it's so fast.
yep.
Well, what was a huge game changer, and I think you've mentioned you're still in the area, I think, but uh, I have MLB Network, and now that I'm out of state, I can watch virtually all the Astros games.
Great, isn't it?
Are you in the area for the Reds? Are you
No,
zoned blacked out? You're not.
I'm blacked out for the two New York teams, and I'm blacked out for the two Pennsylvania teams.
But it doesn't go out to
But
Cincinnati.
I can watch all the other Reds games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. That makes a huge difference. But so like two baseball related things that I know for a fact one of them you were not a fan of, and I think you were also not a fan of the World Baseball Classic.
Just not interested in it.
Yeah, okay. Well, the Italians beat the United States last night
Oh yeah.
in a absolutely humiliating defeat. Of all groups of people, because it's kind of like a lose lose for certain teams in these tournaments, like the
Uh-huh.
Japanese and the Americans, because the whole roster is MLB players, and you're playing against. So like the Czechoslovakian team, they're which
Checkers.
is like one of those things where it's like I didn't even know they knew what
No,
baseball
no.
was in Czechoslovakia.
That's what I'm thinking.
But so all these Czech players are obviously like not MLB players, and they had a thing where it was their jobs, like in real life, like what these guys did, and they're like electricians and plumbers and school teachers.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And I think he's the first baseman is like the CPA for the baseball team. Like he's the accountant for the Czechoslovakian baseball organization, and he
I,
also plays first base, which is like that's some like old school baseball stuff
I
there.
kind of like that.
Back in the day when, well, like back in the day when like the manager would also be a player, like.
Yeah.
But
Those guys.
the Americans lost to the Italians, and it's just embarrassing to be the American team with a stacked roster and lose to a European team. But the Italians, of
Mm,
all people, they don't take anything seriously. And
oh boy. They got like Polly Walnuts at first.
well,
I don't know.
apparently, because that was the other thing I was like, who are these people? And apparently, there's quite a few like MLB players on the Italian team.
Oh, okay.
Because all you have to have is like one parent that's Italian.
Yeah, I was watching one game. It was Great Britain was playing, which I didn't know they played baseball there. But they had Jazz Chisholm on the team.
Yeah, and so the British team and the team from the Netherlands, uh, they've got pretty stacked rosters because if you're either from or your parents are from like a Caribbean island
Oh,
that's
okay.
in the
There you
British
go.
Commonwealth
Oh,
or the
okay.
Dutch Commonwealth, you qualify.
Okay.
Because it was like the British team, I guess I understood because there's a lot of people that have parents here that are from the UK and stuff. But I was like, where are all these Dutchmen coming from? And they're from the Saint Denis or whatever the islands that they're from.
How many times in my life have I said that sentence? Where are all these Dutchmen coming
Where
from?
are all these Dutchmen?
If I had $1 for every time I said that.
Hold on, I got cats flying around. What the hell are you doing? But the other baseball thing, and I know you had said you were very skeptical of Banana Ball, the Savannah Bananas,
Yeah.
and so in a weird twist of fate, my uncle's out in Georgia, and he had gotten on the waiting list for 2 tickets to see them in Georgia. And the Savannah Bananas reached out to him and said, "You were supposed to have an opportunity to buy 2 tickets, but our computer system screwed up, and you missed the opportunity. We sold it to somebody else."
Damn.
And so they said, "What we can do is give you 2 free tickets to the next time they're in Georgia," which is like they tour now. So they were like, that'll be like 12, 18 months from now. Or you can get 5 free tickets to a different city. And they decided they had never been to Seattle. So they were like, we're going to go see it in Seattle and make a trip out of it. And so they invited me. And I was like, hell yeah. And they had like, not only, they didn't have just seats, they had like good seats. So we were like right on behind the, what are those seats called? Where you're like right behind home plate,
Like the club seats or something.
Yeah, I'm a nosebleed guy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, well, because I grew up, it's now called Dakin Park, but Minute Maid Park, and it's we always got tickets in section 410 because it's up at the top, so it's cheap, and even if the roof is open, it's in the shade.
Okay.
So
Beautiful.
So I had never sat that low at a baseball game before. Like the idea of catching a foul ball was just never in the realm of possibility for me. So
Also mildly terrifying.
it is. So what happened? One came down, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to catch this thing," because there's always dorks there with gloves and stuff.
Yep.
And I didn't bring a glove. I don't even think I own a baseball glove.
No.
And the ball was coming down, and it is pretty terrifying. But it's super competitive because not only people really make asses out of themselves when it comes to catching foul balls.
Yeah, body check a 12-year-old kid out of the way.
I understand a home run. I guess I somewhat understand getting aggressive with children over a home run. But when it's a foul ball, it's like, who cares?
Yep.
But in Banana Ball, if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
So everybody's out there throwing elbows and stuff. And then it also depends on, because there's like other teams now in the Banana Ball League. And so it was like fans fighting each other, trying to prevent each other from catching the ball.
Oh, I see. Also,
So
strategy involved.
Yeah. It becomes a whole new thing. It's like full contact baseball. But anyway, having actually seen a Banana Ball game in person, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. You have to go into it with the mindset that it's more like you're going to the circus.
Mm-hmm.
If you go into it thinking you're going to watch like a true baseball game, you're going to probably not find it very fun. There's just it's aimed at like families and kids and stuff.
Yeah.
My only complaint would be it's a little bit of stimulation over what's that word? Like it's overwhelming. the amount
Okay.
of like lights and noise and music and things going on.
Overstimulating.
There you go, overstimulating. But boy, it was a lot of fun. And so they had the game at T-Mobile Park where the Mariners play, and it was a sold out crowd. They sold the whole stadium out, and I just know that the Mariners front office just had to be pulling their hair out because they never come remotely close to selling out a
Yeah.
stadium.
Yeah.
And then this
So
traveling banana themed team.
I don't. The thing I had a. I don't. I'm sure if I went to a game, I'd probably enjoy it. But the thing that bugs me a little bit about it is it's more popular. Like you just said, the Mariners, like a regular season Mariners game, is more popular with this spectacle than actual baseball.
Oh yeah,
And I don't. If you need all this stuff to
to
enjoy
get into
baseball,
it, yeah.
that bugs me.
But
But
at a regular MLB, so and then there's like if they do trick plays, they
yeah.
get points, and it's the trick plays are like a tiebreaker.
Hmm.
So these guys are catching fly balls with the glove behind their back, and
Oh
they're
yeah.
doing stuff where so the fly ball would come down, and they would slap it up with their glove, and then like another player would catch it, which
Yeah.
which it is in and of itself impressive.
It is.
I can't even catch a fly ball, let
Right.
alone do all that other crap.
I mean,
Uh,
it's a lot like the Harlem Globetrotters. I never had an attachment to basketball like I do baseball, so I never really thought of the Globetrotters that way. But I don't know.
yeah,
A
and
little,
that happened. That happened in the, obviously this was pre 1991, but apparently back in the 70s, 80s, whenever it was, the Harlem Globetrotters were given like permission to do a performance in Moscow,
mm,
and the average person there had no idea what it was. And so there was like the sports journalist for the Moscow Times or whatever wrote an article because he just thought it was a basketball team. And he was like, the Americans play a very unique version of basketball. Like he was like, they bring a ladder out, and, and
yeah, that's funny. I saw them actually when I was a kid in Charleston, West Virginia. The Globetrotters, and the halftime performance was by a contortionist. It was some guy standing on a table, like twisting himself into a pretzel and putting his head between his knees and all this stuff. And the whole crowd was cheering wildly. That's what I
I
remember.
this is sometimes it's good to set like realistic goals for yourself in life. So like obviously me being a Harlem Globetrotter is never going to happen. But I think I would be a pretty good Washington General.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like the token short white guy on the team that's just always getting the ball bounced between my legs and stuff and
That's right.
getting slam dunked on. Like I think I'd be pretty good at that. That was another thing I learned was I always wondered, I was like, why are these guys agreeing to be Washington Generals? Uh, like it seems depressing. Your whole existence is losing to the Harlem Globetrotters. And did you know that they're all Globetrotters?
Oh really?
And
Even
they
the
just then
just
they
swap
just
out.
take they just swap out because I thought who would agree to this?
Yeah.
It's just this abject humiliation night after night. Yeah.
When I saw them, they had Meadowlark Lemon, they had Curly Neal. These are the
You could be
classics.
you could be making those names up. You could just be completely making those people up.
You're not familiar with Meadowlark Lemon?
That is one thing I wish that we had was old timey baseball names again.
Yeah.
Everything is so serious now. I guess it was even. I read. What's his name? Vec, as in Rec. I can't
Bill
remember
Beck.
his first name.
Yeah.
Yeah, the White Sox guy. And everybody talks about like baseball used to be more fun and all this, and it's too serious and stuff. And his book was written in like the '60s,
Mm.
and in it he talks about how everybody was uptight and hated him because he would do, gimmicks and stuff at the
Yeah.
stadium to get butts and seats.
He had a
And so it's
shower.
like,
He had a shower in the stands.
yeah,
You could shower.
his book is hilarious. It's called Vec as in Wreck,
Yeah.
and it's pretty funny. Like he was you could just tell he was a good showman, and he would do fan giveaways where if you're in seat 8,
Mhm.
like section 37 or whatever, you win this. But he would intentionally make the prizes just horrible things to have to keep with you. So like the first one he had was he gave somebody like a collapsible like 10-foot ladder. And they brought it out, and then they were just like, "Here's your ladder, have fun," and they walked off. And then so the camera's on him, being like, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this thing for the rest of the game?"
That's pretty
It was
funny.
pretty funny. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah, baseball. I don't think it's as serious as it used to be, but I don't know, maybe it is.
Baseball players could be some of the least fun people. They take it all very seriously.
Yeah, you saw that where that guy wouldn't even Cal Raleigh wouldn't fist bump that guy. Did you see that in the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, that was the last one, I think.
There were teammates
In real life
and opponents in the World Baseball Classic. The guy comes to bat and reaches out to fist bump and he won't do it, leaves him hanging. It turns into this big international incident. But anyway, when I came back to baseball and they were doing all those hand gestures, like when they not hit a double or whatever, and they'd have this regimen where they basically do cartwheels and all this stuff out there.
Some of it's a little excessive because I
was like, what in the hell? I said, if this happened in the '70s, Nolan Ryan would put a fastball in your ribs. You'd get one in the next time you come to bat. You'd get one in the ribs.
You're gonna die.
He's gonna
kill you. He's gonna literally kill you.
That's right.
Yeah, like the Mariners, I think they do like King Neptune or something. So if you hit if you hit a big home run, they put like a cape and a crown and a trident on you, and you're supposed to run around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun, but some of it's a little excessive.
Yeah, I had a hard time with it. I've kind of adapted, but
when you called me when I was at work, I guess nobody would like. Why would anybody know what I? Hold on a second. I gotta let the cat out before he has an aneurysm.
He's starting that full body pump.
Damn cat.
Yeah, starting that full body pump pre-puke thing.
No, just I closed the door when I. Gosh, and I haven't can tell you the last time I was on a podcast, but I would record, and God forbid there's a door closed, so he dies to get in here, and then halfway through he realizes he's trapped, and I'm ignoring him, and then he wants to go out.
Yep, familiar.
And so here in 10 minutes he'll probably be meowing at the door to get back in. I made a horrible mistake. Please let me back in.
Yeah. Please reconsider.
But yeah, I guess I also realized like nobody who would have any reason to know, my actual day job. And I guess I could talk about it as long as I don't mention, specifics. But I'm a paramedic in real life. And you had called me when I was at the station to ask something about the 500 episode. And I had just gotten back from a rectal bleeding patient. Because I think you had asked, like, oh, was it something? Because you called when I was with the patient, so I didn't answer the phone, obviously. And you were like, oh, was it something serious? And I was like, no, it's just rectal bleeding. And you were like, isn't that a big deal? And it's like, you'd be surprised how many people bleed out of their ass. Like, usually members of the older population, but a fairly common thing.
And I told you that's in my near future. You said I probably have 10. You said I have 10 years left before I start.
You're not.
Throwing up a rooster tail.
Well, it really it's crazy because I ran on this was months ago. I ran on a 102-year-old.
Wow.
And she lived at there's all kind. Everybody thinks a nursing home, and we all think of what that is, but there's different like degrees of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the lowest end is like an independent living. So it's essentially like an apartment complex for old people, and there's like a nurse on staff there for them.
Yep.
And these people, they just take care of themselves. And so she's 102. And the whole call was really stupid. Like they called because she got into a fight with the staff because they have, and then they all have, it feels like being in a military barracks. They all have stupid rules and shit. And she kept propping her door open, which is apparently against the rules.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who the hell is going to tell a 102-year-old what to do. She was trying to prop her door open because she couldn't figure out how to turn the heater down and the room was too hot. And they got into it and they called 911 because they were like concerned because they were like, well, she's acting out. So the phrase is acting outside of their baseline. Like they're acting different than how they normally would act. And I show up and I'm like, pieced together pretty quick. There's nothing wrong with this woman. And she's like, yeah, I'm pissed off. She's like, they made me mad. Like I'm allowed to, she's like, I know I'm old, but I'm allowed to get pissed off.
Yeah, human emotions.
And, so it's just part of our like boilerplate thing where we go, do you want to go to the hospital? And she's like, no, I don't want to go to the fucking hospital. Like, she's like, I don't need to. And she also said, she goes, I'm 102. When it's time to die, it's time to die. I'm not going to go to the hospital like at this point in my life. And she was fully oriented, like, and knew where she was, took care of herself. Didn't, we take her vital signs. We do that for every patient when you go, no matter what it is. And like her blood pressure was better than mine, but then I'll run on somebody who's younger than you and they just look like shit. And they're not, and I'm not counting like chronically ill people. Cause obviously if they're like a cancer patient, that's not fair, but they call at 2 a.m. because their chest hurts, and you walk in and you see them and you look at like their ID and their stuff, and you're just like, damn, you're 58, like Jesus Christ, good Lord,
what happened?
Well, I can tell you the big three, and I don't follow some of these, but the big three amongst people who age gracefully are. Don't smoke cigarettes at all. Mm-hmm. If you drink alcohol, drink it like a normal person.
Oh boy,
and
got trouble there.
So there's one strike in the box against you. And then don't get diabetes. Okay. And if you get diabetes, manage it. Okay. That is the consistent trifecta amongst people that age and don't just completely fall apart. Okay. But
1 out of 3.
But 1 out of 3, that's not bad because I have some that are all 3.
Yeah.
And people call, and then it's hard to not be like, it's hard to have a conversation with some of these people and not have a condescending tone because we'll go and it's because their blood sugar's too high and they're sick. And they're like, yeah, I just ate a box of Ho-Hos. And it's like, well, why'd you do that? You have diabetes.
I just wanted them.
Or they have COPD, and there was a woman near our station, so we ran on her multiple times, and finally she yelled at me because I was apparently rude to her, but she kept going on morning walks with all her friends, and she has COPD and she needs oxygen, and she's like, well, I don't have a portable oxygen tank, and on these walks she would lose her breath and get sick, and then they'd call 911, and she would also smoke cigarettes on this walk. And I'm like, well, you need the oxygen tank to live, and you're not bringing it. And then you're just stacking the deck even more against you by smoking cigarettes. And then this woman, this 75-year-old woman, looked me in the eyes because she had one of those motor carts with a basket in the front. And she had packs of cigarettes in it. And I said, are you still smoking cigarettes? And she goes, no. I said, well, what are all these cigarettes in your basket? I feel like I'm her father, and she's in middle school, So what are all these cigarettes? And she's like, well, I just carry them for everybody else. And I say, everybody here smokes menthol 10s, or Marlboro 10s, Like, come on, I wasn't born yesterday. And then she tries to say, well, I smoke them, but I don't inhale. And it's like, okay, Bill Clinton,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but
So
no,
it's just these aren't mine. These are my friends. I'm holding
these are all
them for
my
my
friends'
friends.
cigarettes. Yeah. But no, and I love my job. I'm very lucky because, so I'm not a fire medic. That's usually what people think of when they think of paramedics, is ones that are also firefighters. I'm just a paramedic, and I work for a private company that's contracted out through the county.
Okay.
So it's in so it is direct 911. You call 911 and I show up. And it's a great job. Like, it's fulfilling. You do, as much as I bitch about all the absolute stupid crap that people call for, you do help people, and you get a lot of unique experiences. And but boy, do people call 911 for some stupid crap.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
Oh, you would like, and it's always in the middle of the night. We had a guy call at 2 a.m, and he's my age, and he's like, I got a boil on my leg. And we're like, okay, and like, and he's like, well, it looks like it's getting infected. I was like, yeah. So I look at it and I'm like, it probably is. You are correct. Yeah. And he's like, well, I want to go to the ER. And it's like, well, why? I mean, like, just wait until the morning and either go to urgent care or just go to the pharmacy and get some cream for it.
He calls 911 because he has a boil.
Calls 911 because he has a boil. And that one got well, and that one had an extra flavor in it. Ugh. Because he had other marks all over his legs too. And there was just like one in particular that he was worried about. And then we had him roll his arm up so I could put like the blood pressure cuff on, and he had even more of them. And I was like, what are all these? I already knew the answer, but you asked them. And he's like, oh, well, I started smoking meth again. And I pick it myself when I smoke meth. And we're like, okay, well, the hospital is going to have a field day with you. Because it's like, and they talk about, oh, you guys are so mean and rude and condescending. And it's like, we don't hold a candle to the nurses at the ER.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to them telling you that you're coming in for stupid shit. But, oh, yeah. Or like, my back's been hurting since 1987. And it just hurts more today. So I need to call at 3
call
in the
911,
morning. Yeah. Not call 911 at 3 in the morning. That's all right. Well, and so like, what also happens is like, so there's paramedics and there's EMTs, and so like a paramedic is just like an advanced EMT. So I have actual access to like pain medications, like morphine and stuff. Mm-hmm. And people who call 911 a lot have pieced that together, that we have that. And so they'll call and they'll say, and so our rule is our pain meds are for accidents, are for people in car wrecks and stuff like that. And so they'll call and say, my back's been hurting since 1987. Can I have some morphine? And I'm like, no, like, that's not going to happen. And they're like, well, I thought, they'll point to like the patch on my arm and they say, well, aren't you a paramedic? You have morphine. It's like, oh, I didn't say that I don't have it.
You're just not getting it.
You're just not getting it from me. You're probably not going to get it from the hospital either, but you could give it a shot, like.
God. People are very resourceful.
Good boy, my ass.
All right. There you go. I'll have part 2 later in the next episode, couple days. So that was fun. It's 8 o'clock in the morning when I was talking to him. I don't know. I don't really. I talked. It was 11 here, and I was like, I don't know. It's a little early. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not fully awake yet. But anyway, so that was part 1, and we'll do part 2 next time. And before I call it an episode, I want to start doing some interviews occasionally. I don't want to do them all the time. I don't want to turn this into an interview podcast, but I would like to maybe do one a month or something like that. And I'm just real hesitant because I don't really have confidence in myself as far as that goes. But, I think I might start sending out some emails asking people if they'll come on and talk to me for a half hour, And I'm thinking about maybe like old coworkers, former coworkers. I think that would be fun, but I don't want to limit it to just that. But I might start with that, and send out some feelers, see if anybody would be willing to come on. A lot of people don't want to do it. I mean, I've tried to get people to come on before, friends from back when we were kids and stuff. They're like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I can't get Rocky to come on here. I can't get Mike. Try to get Mike to come on here. No, that's not really something I want to do. It's like, geez Louise, man. Just, all right, anyway. But anyway, I might try to do that. I might try to do, in the second 500, maybe one a month, an interview. I'm going to try. I'm not super competent. But, you gotta try new things. You gotta be comfortable in the uncomfortability or something, whatever that phrase is. You got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. All right. Anyway, so we're at the end of this thing. And if you want 2 of these a week, Patreon's where you can make that happen. You can sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation. You can do it today over at patreon.com. It's patreon.com/Jeff K. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation. And you'll get an extra episode every week or every time I publish one to the main network. Right behind it will be one for patrons only. Full-length episodes. If you want to double the number of Surf Report podcast episodes you hear in a month or in a year, it's easy to do. Patreon.com. And call in. Call in like these 20 folks did in the last episode. And, and if you ask me some questions, make some comments, whatever's on your mind, you can give me a call around the clock, 570-290-8151. And surfreportpod.com is the web home of the podcast. There's expanded show notes, pictures, links, all kinds of stuff. So check that out as well. And we're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. And until next time, which will be over on the main network, hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye.
I guess I somewhat understand getting aggressive with children over a home run,